Hola! I hope everyone's doing well. This lesson for you is part of the advanced academic curriculum, and it's going to focus on rounding numbers. So I'm curious how you did with the exploratory question, if you remembered how to round to a lower place. But if you struggled, no worries. I'll get you all caught up again. All right, so it wants us to use the number line, but I'm also going to use some models to round decimals to specific places. In this case, we're working with decimal 4 and 859 thousandths. It wants us to round it to the whole number. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied. Well, here's the whole place. And remember, we always have underlined what we called our focus or our rounding place. Then we circle the digit to the right. Now, we've got to think about the value of that digit. In order to remember, are we going to go up to or down to 4 or round up to 5? Is that value of that digit large enough to justify one more whole? Well, when we place it on the number line, and then I go over 5, we know that our halfway point is in the middle. So just like with whole numbers, the halfway point gives us instructions on what to do. And then I can isolate this and think of this as 8/10. This whole thing would be worth another 1, and presently we have this much of it. Sorry for my crude shading, but you get the point. So if I have this much of the whole, excuse me, it means that 8/10 is really close to 10/10. And that would be the whole grid shaded in, or 1. So I have enough to justify rounding up one more whole because 8/10 is very close. So I would round to about 5. All right, so let's take a look at that again. This time we're going to round the same decimal but to a different place. All right, it says to round to the closest tenth. My tenths place is right here. I circle that bossy digit to the right, and it's going to be the value of that digit that's going to make the difference. It's worth 5/100. All right, if I put it on my number line, right there. And this is my halfway point. I'm looking to see, is it closer to keeping it as 4 8/10 or rounding it up 1 more tenths to 4 9/10? Well, on the number line, you can see it's closer to 4 9/10. Let's look at the value of hundredths. Each square is a hundredth, and we're trying to see how close it is to making a tenth. This is 1/10. So if I have 5 of them, you can see that I've, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, oh, I did one too many. Yes, wow, that's, thank goodness these are erasable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there we go. But you can see I have half of the tenths shaded in. Well, the rule in rounding is if you're halfway there or more, you're justified. So 5/100 is 5 away from 10/100. But 10/100 simplified is 1/10. So yes, I am justified to round up 1 more tenth. Don't get rid of the high places or the greater places. These have value and we always want to keep them. Then I'm going to go up 1 more tenth to 4 9/10. And with decimals, it's not wrong to write zeros, it's just not necessary. So once I have taken care of my rounding place, in a regular decimal, I just let those other places go. All right, So now we can look at it as thousandths. It says use the number line to round 859 thousandths to the closest hundredth. So there's our hundredths, which means that the value of our thousandths is what's going to dictate whether it is round or stays the same at 4 85/100ths or rounds up one more hundredths to 4 86/100ths. So I'm going to place it on the number line, and it's actually right here, 4 859 thousandths, and you can see, here's my middle mark, it's definitely closer to rounding up by 1. So when we think about this 9 thousandths, to make a hundredth would mean this little square has to be shaded in. Well, it has 9, so that means the whole thing's shaded except for one little sliver. Well, that certainly is about another tenth. It's actually as close as you can get. So I will round up one more hundredth. Again, I'm going to keep the digits that come before, and I'm going to go from 5 hundredths to 6 hundredths, and this thousandths place can just go away. All right. So now it says round 3 68/100ths to the nearest tenth using the number line. Now when you do your work, you know that we have talked about with whole numbers, as long as we understand our values and what's happening, this is definitely the most efficient way to get there. So if you get to the point where you don't need to use a number line, you're not forced to. However, if it helps you to confirm your thinking, I definitely encourage it. All right, so we write our decimal. We underline the place we're rounding to. We circle the digit to the right. It's going to tell us what to do. Now, these are hundredths, and I have 8 of them. I need to know, is it close to making a tenth? So our tenths are our columns. See if I can shade it in properly this time. I got it, yay. So now you can see 8 hundredths is almost a column or almost a tenth. We can confirm that with our number line, 3 68/100ths, and you can see it's far past the middle point and much closer to 3 7/10. So this 8 hundredths says, yeah, I've got almost another tenth. You can round up to the next. Keep the places before, round up, and because this decimal has no meaning, we let that hundredths place go. All right, let's look at it again. It says round, I don't like even putting my pen down, 56 849 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. So it's going to be the thousandths that dictate whether or not we round up or not. Remember, a hundredth is our square, and the slivers inside are the thousandths. If we have 9 of them, we definitely are very close to doing so. On our number line, here is the midway point. 9. Oy, oy, oy. Please forgive me. I made so many of these. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Now I can put it where it goes. So 56 849 thousandths is here on the number line, which is almost to the higher rounded amount. And 9 thousandths definitely justifies rounding up one more hundredth because we almost have another one. And because it doesn't have any meaning, we just throw away that thousandths place. It's not needed. All right. Down here, this one's interesting though. This one actually has a meaning in the sense that it's money. So in this case, I do need to think about my last step, and we'll get there in a moment. This one says to round to the closest dime, and I know that that is my dimes place. And this is my pennies place. So 97 and 2300 is here on the number line. Here is our middle point. So this time it's closer to the lower rounded amount. And it makes sense. 3 pennies is definitely not close to 1 dime, which is 10 cents. Way too far away. So I can't justify going up to another dime. I don't have hardly any. So in this case, I'm going to put +0 to hold the value. Keep all the values or places before. 2 is going to stay put. But this one has a meaning. And so I can't drop this last place. I'm going to hold it with a placeholder. Because it's money, money always has 2 places to represent the change, and it wouldn't make sense to leave it like that. We've never seen money written that way. So that's one exception. There could be other exceptions in which you need to keep the zeros after, but with our lessons, it's only going to be restricted to money amounts. So again, let me know if you need any additional help and support, and I'll see you later.